Hello, everyone. On the evening of February 4th, 1938, a 34-year-old man is found hanging in a lavatory of Dachau concentration camp. His death is ruled suicide, and his name is Hans Litten, and he was an inmate at Dachau concentration camp. I'd like to take a little bit of time to tell you a little bit about Hans Litten, because I think he is one of those historical superheroes. His name should be known by everyone, and his story should be taught in every classroom. It's that important to me. Now, he was a German attorney, and he cared deeply about the law. And he was very worried about the Nazis seizing power, because Hans saw the law as a powerful tool, not as a tool by the state, but more as a tool to make a better society. He considered the law to be the foundation on which the world could be a better case. So, in 1931, Germany was inundated with stormtroopers, these brown shirts who went around causing havoc on Hitler and the Nazis' behalfs. Of course, the Nazis always denied any affiliation with them. But in 1931, nevertheless, the stormtroopers attacked a nightclub, and it was filled with communists, and dozens were injured. And 4 stormtroopers were charged. So the stormtroopers, we should talk a little bit more about. They were not a paid or sanctioned government group. They were just basically, well, Hitler's thugs. They went out and caused havoc, intimidated, assaulted, and silenced political opponents. They were his arm of retribution against people who disagreed with him. This is what dictators do. They try to silence everyone. The stormtroopers would also sow doubt in the public and try to create wedges in which Hitler could take one side or the other. So they were a very useful tool. However, Hitler denied any association with them and would always say, "We don't condone what they do." It sounds a little bit familiar these days, doesn't it? But Hans Litten wanted to prove that the violence did not happen without the Nazis knowing. And he wanted to draw the line and connect the dots directly to the Nazi leadership, meaning one man, Adolf Hitler. So Hans Litten decided to call Adolf Hitler to testify in court. Basically, he subpoenaed Hitler. So when Hitler shows up, he's extremely confident that he can do well in this court. And the 4 stormtroopers that are charged stand up and give Hitler the Nazi salute. Hitler is full of confidence and full of himself, because that's really the way narcissists are. And he is absolutely sure he can get through this entire deposition with no problem. After all, why wouldn't he? He's been a liar his whole life. He can continue to lie right here. So Hans Litten keeps him on the stand for over 3 hours. Hitler repeatedly denies that the Nazi Party encourages violence. He says the Nazi Party is a legitimate political party. He doesn't know anything about the violence that happens. He doesn't even know stormtroopers. But then Hans Litten does something amazing. He produces a pamphlet, and it is a training pamphlet for stormtroopers who just join in. And it contradicts everything that Adolf Hitler says under testimony. He perjures himself. Let's not worry about that, because when Hitler perjures himself, he's a narcissist. He doesn't believe it, and the only thing he says is it's the other person's problem, and they're lying. But Hitler was the one that was caught in lies. And after he was caught, he began to argue, and then his temper flared, and he made a complete mess of the entire deposition. There is a picture that was secretly taken in the courtroom, and it's of Hitler. And it clearly shows just how shaken, visibly shaken he is after Hans Litten cross-examined him. Because for Hitler, being cross-examined by an intellectual, a Jewish intellectual, was just something that was incomprehensible to him. So let's go into how the system starts turning on Hans Litten. By 1932, Litten realizes that the Nazis, they're very close to power, and the legal system is just inundated with Nazi sympathizers. Hitler has installed people all through the Nazi Party. The Nazi Party has infiltrated the legal system, and the courts begin to turn on him. Judges in particular start to turn on him. They're throwing out evidence. Some of the evidence that he had collected that was valuable ends up missing. Other attorneys start distancing themselves from them because they don't want retribution from Hitler. Critical evidence starts disappearing. And in one place, Hans Litten shows the judge his evidence and his case. The judge actually accuses Hans Litten of lying and sides with Adolf Hitler. After that, the chief prosecutor informs Litten that, very simply, the case against the stormtroopers, it's been dropped. So Litten is sitting there in Germany, watching the destruction of democracy in real time. Let's not forget that the Weimar Republic was a functioning democracy after the First World War. And here, right before his eyes, it is crumbling and it is being destroyed by the Nazi Party. Now, Hitler, he never forgot what happened to him that day in court because he wants retribution against Hans Litten. And in fact, years on, even during the war, you could not mention Hans Litten's name without Hitler throwing a temper tantrum. It was that bad for Hitler. So after the Reichstag fire, what does Hitler do? It's revenge time. He takes power, the Reichstag burns, and then Hans Litten is taken into protective custody. Of course, without trial, right? Now he's tortured, and eyewitnesses later tell his mother that he was tortured so severely and beaten so severely that they won't even put Hans Litten back in with the regular prisoners. They don't want the prisoners to look at him. That's how bad they beat him. He was tortured over and over again. He was put into forced labor. He was interrogated repeatedly, and he was changed from camp to camp. Every time he would go to a camp, it just got worse. He was tortured one time so badly that in 1933, he actually attempted suicide because he thought he would endanger his clients by giving the Nazis names. But the Nazis, they gave him medical care, they treated him well, just so they can continue to torture and question him. So on October 16th, 1937, Hans Litten was transferred to Dachau, and he was placed in a Jewish barracks. At first, it was really better for him. But then they started cutting off all letters coming back and all communications. And he just basically gave up hope. As time went by, his treatment worsened. And after 5 years of imprisonment and torture, he just couldn't take it anymore. He didn't see any way he was ever going to be free again. So on February 4th, 1938, he took his own life in Dachau. He was 34 years old. And that is the story of Hans Litten. It's the short version of it, and I highly encourage further reading on this subject because I find it most fascinating, and I find him to be, like I had said earlier, he's a historical hero. He stood up for rights when nobody else would, and he looked at Hitler in the eye, literally in the eye, questioned him, and proved him to be a liar. Thanks for watching.